Hi everyone. In this video, I am going to take you through the 10 mistakes, the 10 most common mistakes that students make in the last 2 months while they are preparing for the CAT. So over the years, we have seen thousands of students making these mistakes, and if they control these mistakes or avoid these mistakes, they will have far better outcomes. So the first thing that I'm going to share with you, and there are 10 these mistakes that we're going to talk about. The first one is focusing only on strengths and ignoring weak areas. Now, a lot of times, and you also may have experienced this, that there is one particular section that you really like doing or something that you are very good at, and then there are maybe two or there is one area where you are not that great. So you generally struggle with that area or you find it very difficult to score. And there's a common tendency to avoid such areas. So you believe that, let's say for example, maybe your VRC is not that great. So even if you put in a lot of effort, scores are not improving in the last few SIMCATs. And you might feel that what's the point? So instead of that, let me focus on an area that I am getting good score at, where I can maybe maximize my score. And that's a very common tendency. But if you do that, understand what is going to happen. Let's say on that particular day, the section where you are not that great comes out to be easy. It means that you'll still be able to score well. But if you haven't prepared for that area, you will not be able to capitalize on it. So if you do not have balanced prep approach, you have to prepare equally well for all the three sections, and if you don't do that, it may lead to a situation where you will not be able to clear the sectional cutoffs. And it may happen that you have cleared the cutoffs in one or two sections, but the third section you have missed, and because of that you end up missing on that IM call that you should have got. So do not commit this mistake. You should put equal importance to all the three sections. Of course, the section where you are strong, you don't have to over practice that. So a lot of students like quant and they keep doing quant, but that additional practice may not give a great return. So keep that in mind while you are making your preparation plan. Let's move on to the second mistake. And the second mistake is not taking enough full length test and over focusing on score or percentile. So there are two things that can happen. One is there are a lot of students who, because they're not getting great score, they start going away from the SIMCATs. They think that I can continue to practice the material that I have, the courseware that I have, I can do online questions, maybe section test and so on, but I don't have to do enough full length test. So because they're not getting good scores, they don't take enough SIMCATs. But understand that you have to use SIMCAT as a learning experience, as an experience to figure out how much you are able to apply. So don't do that. So definitely take as many SIMCATs as you can. At the same time, the other thing that happens is a lot of students get fixated with the score, right? So they keep talking about the score or the percentile that they have got, and there's a lot of comparison that happens around it. So one of your friends will tell you that, hey, I got a 95 percentile in this SIMCAT, or I got a 99, and so on. And then there is constant comparison that keeps happening. That is also a problem. So you don't have to get fixated with the score or the percentile that you get. Okay, so these are some of the things that I've written. Of course, I'm not going to go through all of them because of course you can see it on your screen, but the essence is what I want you to focus on, right? So don't obsess over the percentiles that you're getting. Rather than look at, okay, how many attempts am I doing? Am I doing the right set of questions or not? So that's the analysis that you need to do. So SIMCATs use it as a tool for practice and improvement. It's not a judgment. So it's not going to write your fate that, okay, you're getting a 95 or a 99 percentile, meaning that is what is going to happen on the D-Day. Okay, so don't take it to be that way. Let's move on to the third one. Now, third is not analyzing mocks and not solving critically. And see, this is something that I had also mentioned in one of the Ask Me Anything sessions that I did, that what is the meaning of solving questions critically, right? When I look at students, a lot of them keep doing questions, but they are not pausing and thinking whether that question should have been done or not in the exam. If at all a similar question comes, then what should be the approach? So am I remembering and understanding the approach really well or not? So you have to analyze your performance really well and figure out whether your question selection strategy is good. Are you attempting easy and moderate questions, or you are spending too much time on the difficult questions, and so on and so forth. So without analysis, what will happen is you will keep repeating the same kind of mistakes. You will select similar sets which you should not be doing. You will end up selecting questions that you should not be doing. So these errors continue to happen because you are not looking at your SIMCATs really well. So you're not spending enough time analyzing the test that you have taken. So that is why I mentioned that if you, let's say, have a choice to solve 4,000 questions versus 3,000 questions, but super critically, where after every question you take a momentary pause and ask yourself what exactly happened in this question, and if at all a similar question comes in the future, have I understood the exact methodology to solve that particular question. Okay, so the critical reflection that you do, right, on each and every test and each and every question helps you to understand and retain it better. So whenever in the future you encounter a similar question, you will be able to solve it. Okay, let's move on to the next one, and this mistake again is very common, which is burning out. So students over invest whatever time that they have in doing certain areas or doing all the areas or whatever, but they are doing too much. So for example, a lot of students ask, what if I study for 10 hours a day? Now, is 10 hours a day a good strategy or not? That you need to ask yourself, that do I really need to spend 10 hours preparing for the test? Okay, so don't burn out, and a lot of students also peak too early. Now, what is the meaning of peaking too early is that see, as you keep preparing for the test, right, your score starts improving, your content starts improving, and there will be a time when you have achieved peak state, right, wherein you are in a position to do the best. Okay, now for some students this may happen even before the CAT, and in such cases it is important that you don't overdo things, because otherwise it will push you into that zone where you are burning out, where you start feeling anxious about your preparation or your performance, or even the scores start dropping. And this we have seen enough in the past, wherein there have been students where towards the very end, right, so in the last 2 to 3 weeks, their performance on the SimCAT started to drop a little bit because they had overdone few things, right? So you have taken already so many tests, it may start impacting negatively, and that is why you have to pace things out properly. You have to say that, okay, I am going to do so many SimCATs in the month of October, so many SimCATs in November first week, second week, third week, and so on. So that planning is required. Otherwise, you have a risk of burning out. Okay, so don't overexert yourself. So pushing too hard. In marathon running, for example, if you start running very quickly in the beginning, you will realize that after some time you will run out of fuel. Your legs will not have enough energy to sustain the distance that you have to cover. So that is why don't overexert yourself, especially in the month of October, right? Because in November, generally and naturally there's going to be a push that will happen because of whatever reasons, right? So there is that sense of urgency then. But you should not overdo things in October or in November, so that you are able to have a fairly constant approach towards your preparation in the last 2 months. Okay, so make sure that you have structured breaks and rest as well. Students forget to do that I have to take a break, right? So if I'm preparing every single day, firstly I don't have to prepare every single day. I can always keep like half day, sometime in the week. It could be, let's say, Monday evening or Sunday morning or whatever, when I am not going to prepare for the test. I'll do something else. I'll maybe invest some time in a hobby, I'll go out with friends or whatever it is, just to keep my mind a little bit calm, right? Because you also have to go away from things. So again, I was at LMTC and I shared one quote by Randy Posh that brick walls are there for a reason. They tell us how badly we want things. So sometimes when you get stuck or you go away from a particular thing, you realize how badly you want it, right? So you also need to take a little bit of breaks in between. That is always a good thing to do. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Now this one is about replicating test conditions as much as possible. So a lot of students, what they do is they will say that, okay, today I'm going to take a SimCAT from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Okay, and at 6:55 they will sit in front of their laptop and just start the test. Now, is that a good strategy? The answer is no, right? So what you need to do is you need to replicate test conditions as much as possible. What I mean by that is, see, on the D day, what's going to happen is you will go to the venue, say 45 minutes or 1 hour in advance. Mostly you will end up sitting in front of your machine for 30 minutes and you will not be doing anything. So there's going to be awkward silence. But you need to get used to that. So I would suggest that whatever mocks you take from now on, if you can sit in front of your laptop for 30 minutes, if not 45, and do nothing and get used to that awkward silence, get comfortable with it, you will have a better outcome, because now you are getting used to that final experience, that 30 minutes of sitting without doing anything, and then 2 hours of taking the test. So your endurance has now gone up because you're sitting for 2.5 hours rather than sitting for 2 hours. So make sure that you start replicating this, even having limited amount of water, making sure that you're using limited amount of paper. So all of that is creating or replicating the test experience. Even using the ballpoint pen. So you may have a favorite pen, right? All of us have that I really love this particular pen. This is the best pen in the world. But on the CAT day, you're not going to have that. You're going to have a pretty sad ballpoint pen that the venue will provide you. So get used to that, maybe a 5 rupee ball pen that you find in the market, and solving all your tests with that particular pen. Okay. So at home, generally there is a relaxed condition. You have to break that a little bit, right? So taking it in a condition where, let's say, things are not that favorable to you. Then second thing, because CAT admit card will be released on 5th November, you're going to have 25 days roughly before you appear for the CAT. So these 25 days or whatever period you have, you're going to adjust your body clock to whatever you're going to do on the CAT day. So let's say if I have the morning slot, right, and I'm not a morning person, will I be able to suddenly change that? No. So that is why the last 2 months I have to use that opportunity to change myself, especially the last 25 days. So I'll have to start waking up early. I'll have to have pretty much the same food every day, so that on the CAT day, if I'm going to have, let's say, coffee in the morning, or if coffee makes you jittery, you should not be having coffee. All of that is also planning. So that is something that you'll have to do. And finally, simulations. So the more you do this, right, it reduces surprises. So on the CAT day, then you will not be surprised that, okay, even if you have to sit for 45 minutes, so what, right? So you will sit idle for 45 minutes and then take the test. So start doing this in the last 2 months. Let's go to number 6. Now this is going to be on your entire journey and not specific to CAT, because when you're preparing for CAT, a lot of times students don't realize that the ultimate goal is MBA. Right? CAT is just one of the ways in which you can get there, because you can always take an NMAT or a SNAP or a MyCAT or a CMAT or a CET or some other test. So don't think only of the CAT and only of the IMs. Make sure that you also apply to other B schools. So during these 2 months, you're going to have a lot of test applications that are going to close. You will have some B school applications that are going to close. Now, if you don't apply to these tests, if you don't apply to some of these B schools, at a later point of time, you may regret that decision. So it's better to apply at this point of time. I'm not saying you should apply to all the tests and you should apply to all the B schools, but prioritize. So depending on your aspirations, what sort of career profile that you have so far, and all the other variables in your life, you have to decide that, okay, these are the B schools that I'm looking for myself, and make sure that you apply to them. Okay. Now B school zone will come very handy in this. We'll try and give you a link as well in the description, so you can check it out from there if you haven't done it already. So there we keep updating the test deadlines and the B school application deadlines. So you'll be able to access that information easily and make sure that you don't neglect it. Okay, I've seen a lot of students think that CAT and the IMs is the deal, right? That's not the case. You can definitely take other tests, and there are countless examples of students who have taken these tests and have gone to premier B schools. Okay, so don't take it lightly. Make sure that you keep your options open so that you do not have any regret at the end. Okay. So that was the 6th common mistake. Let's move to the 7th one. Now the 7th one is going to be self-perception. And what I mean by that is, a lot of students either get overconfident or they get underconfident in the last 2 months. So who will get overconfident? People who are constantly hitting good percentile, right? So 98, 99, and I'm not taking anything away from you, right? So if you are somebody who is a 98, 99 percentiler watching this, I'm not taking anything away from the performance that you have had so far. But what I'm just trying to say is, do not get overconfident, right? Because see, things have been going good for you. You're scoring well. But if you don't put the same amount of effort that has got you here so far, it will become a problem. So don't relax. Don't take things lightly. Continue to put in the effort that you've been putting. The other side of the story is people who get underconfident, right? Because things are not working for you. Maybe you're not getting, let's say, good SimCAT scores, maybe 60, 70, 50 percentile, etc. And now then you start questioning the entire decision. Now you start thinking, is MBA even for me, right? Maybe I should be doing something else. That definitely happens in the last 2 months, and a lot of people will give up in the last 2 months. Now, if you continue to keep a self-perception or self-belief which is constant, then this will not happen to you. So whatever has happened so far, great, I will continue to do it. Whatever has not worked for me, I will fix it in the last 2 months and get better. So keep that ideology that I can get better, because the moment you think that I cannot get better or I have already arrived, there is no scope for improvement. Okay, so that is something that I wanted to share. If you're overconfident, you get complacent. If you're underconfident, you will panic and there's going to be a lot of self-doubt, and these situations are not ideal situations. Okay, so have a steady self-belief that okay, I can do it, right? No matter what happens, I have 2 months, I'll be able to progress from wherever I am at this point of time. Let's move to last one. The eighth one. So this is neglecting health, nutrition, and sleep. Okay. See, because last 2 months, right, there's that feeling that yes, I am going to do it. I'm going to put in a lot of effort, and all of us are used to cramming. So especially because of our school and college exams and the way entire education is structured, we are used to pushing towards it. And in the process, what do? Right? We compromise on our sleep. We start sleeping less. We also compromise on the food. Right? So if you look at the nutrition, the exercise and everything that you do, otherwise you start compromising that as a run up to the test. But you should not be doing that. There are reasons for that. Firstly, when you have long study hours, right, but you are not resting, it is going to impact your focus and comprehension. And see, while you're studying, you're making a lot of neural connections. If you don't take enough rest, those neural connections will not be strong, right? So you should always take a lot of rest. I'm not saying start sleeping for 10 hours a day. Your parents will definitely not happy with that. But you will have to start doing, let's say, maybe 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep, whatever works for you. Keep at least that much. So don't start doing, oh, in the last 2 months, I'm going to be sleeping for 4 hours a day, right? It's not going to be productive. If you have irregular meals, right? So compromising on food, right? So instead of having some healthy food, you decide to have let's say some fast food, and then you continue to do that. That also might impact a lot of things, right? But of course, I'm not sort of a super health expert, but there is that gut-brain axis, as people keep talking about, that what you eat impacts your mood and of course your performance as well. So start taking things a little bit seriously on that front. Eat homemade food as much as possible last 2 months, especially in the last 1 or 2 weeks, can't stress upon more. But definitely in the last 2 months, if you can control that a little bit with some exercise, it will make sure that you are in a peak performance kind of approach or stage when you go for the final test. So consistent sleep and diet will help you to maintain that energy. So there's this HBR article also, Harvard Business Review article, called Manage Your Energy, Not Your Time. Right? Because time management is one part, but energy management is far more important. That you should have enough energy to do what you're supposed to be doing over the next 2 months. That brings us to the penultimate thing, which is allowing noise and distractions to take over. So especially in the last 2 months, right, you will have enough gyan that you will be bombarded with, right? So what to do in the last 2 months, the way you're watching this particular video. But you have to decide, okay, what is worth watching and what is not worth watching. Okay, so whether it is content on YouTube or Insta or any other channel, Reddit for example, you will have to decide that whether it is worth your time or not. So you should be able to declutter. Okay, so I would suggest that you reduce social media as much as possible, because generally it does not help much. So you'll have to figure out that okay, this is a source of information for me and I like this source, continue to watch that. But if you think something is a waste of time, I would suggest that you start unsubscribing today itself. Okay, then mental clutter. So, and mental clutter can happen in a lot of ways. It is not only social media, but things that you consume. For example, you watch a horror movie, it will have an impact on your performance on that particular day, right? So that is why make sure that you consume content, whether it is from social media or let's say some entertainment, which is helping you. For example, you can always watch a light, funny movie, and that will have a good impact on your entire approach, rather than watching something which is going to, let's say, keep you demotivated for the next 2-3 days. And there's this thing that I like a lot, which is, so this is a quote from Kipchoge, again, one of the most celebrated athletes and runners of all time. So he says that you need to have this vitamin N. Now there is no such thing as vitamin N, by the way, but vitamin N is essentially power to say no. So you should be able to say no to a lot of things, right? So whether it is distractions or temptations that you get, right? So suddenly your friend calls you and says, hey, let's go for a pizza. Now it it's completely okay to maybe go once a while, but you can't keep doing that every single day, right? Or if somebody says, hey, there's this series that has come up on Netflix, you need to watch it, you can always say no, right? Because that series will still be there after 2 months. So learn to say no. Don't fall prey to temptations or whatever it is that social media is throwing at you. One more thing that he says, by the way, which I want to share here, is only the disciplined ones are truly free, because those who are not disciplined, they are slaves to their moods, right? And it's a very profound statement. And if you think of it, you just need to be disciplined. That is what is going to be the last thing that I'm going to talk about. And that's number 10, which is inconsistent practice. So what a lot of students do is they depend on their mood, right? Or how they are feeling on a particular day or inspiration to put in efforts. So today I'm feeling good, I will put in a lot of effort. But tomorrow I'm not feeling great, so I'll not put in enough effort, right? So skipping days, studying randomly. Today 8 o'clock I feel like studying, so I'm going to take a SimCat. But tomorrow 8 o'clock maybe I'll go out with friends, right? So that kind of approach where it is inconsistent in the last 2 months, that will definitely create a problem for you. So show up every day, right? And do what you're supposed to do. So if today you have decided I'm going to take a SimCat and I'm going to do 3 sectional tests additional, do it, finish it off, right? So don't worry too much about your score percentile, as I mentioned in the beginning. You don't have to. But you have to trust the process that I'm going to show up and do what I'm supposed to do. And I'm going to end with this quote from one of the, he's also a marathon coach, Ed Eystone, that consistent competence equals eventual excellence, right? That I don't want somebody who, let's say, is exceptional on a particular day, but I rather want somebody who is consistent, right? So I want to have people in my team who will be consistent on a daily basis, rather than somebody who has great idea on a particular day, but rest of the year he's not doing anything. So I need consistent competence in the last 2 months. I should be able to do what I promise myself, that hey, if I'm going to take 20 SimCats before I face the cat, or I'm going to do all past year question papers, make sure that you do it, right? So don't leave anything to chance. Create a process, continue to do it, and trust that process, okay? Do whatever works for you in the last 2 months, rather than trying to ask a lot of random people that hey, what should I be doing, and following or changing too many things, right? So that generally does not help. So try and be consistent. See, by now you already know what are the things that work for you, things that don't. And if you need help figuring that out, you can always reach out to your IMS mentors and they'll be very happy to help you out. So that's it. That's what I wanted to share with all of you. These are the 10 most common mistakes. Think if you're making any of these mistakes and try reducing them, try avoiding them, and I'm sure it will have a positive impact on your performance. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has helped you. Wish all of you all the best, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Take care.